Okay, it's recording. You're on there.
Oh, fantastic. So good morning, everybody, and welcome. Hope you all had a beautiful long weekend. A nice welcome to our loyal supporters who have been attending almost every week these wonderful presentations, and to our new guests, welcome as well. Today we have a very special speaker this morning, and if any of you had a chance to listen to her last year, one of our special events, she is marvelous. So thank you so much to Sarah Gencarelli, co-founder of Wild Idea in Ottawa. She's going to talk about compassionate branding in a time of crisis, so very appropriate subject matter. Now, just a couple of housekeeping rules. If you could please keep your mics on mute during the presentation. There is a Q&A after the presentation, but also in the group chat on your computer, you'll see you can place a question that hopefully Sarah can answer towards the end of the presentation. So, but also we want to give a big shout out and a warm welcome to a very special guest sponsor this morning, Colin Morris of Kingston Frameworks. And Colin is going to speak a little bit about well, Kingston Frameworks. And today, of course, as Gabby was saying just earlier, they can open their stores today. So yay. Welcome, Colin, and welcome everybody. So Gabby, my dear.
Okay, so Colin, the show is yours. I wanted to say thank you again to Colin Morris for being a great friend to WMB. We really got to know each other last November, I think, when you held a special event at the military. And we did some other major projects. So we thank you for your support to us and our continuing ongoing support that will enter for this year and years to come. So the show is yours. If you'd like to say a few words about Kingston Frameworks to our group, would be greatly appreciated. Colin?
Yeah, thanks so much, Gabby. It's been awesome working with you guys. Happy to be a part of this. You have an awesome group. So a little bit about us. You probably all know Kingston Frameworks is downtown on the corner of Princess and Montreal, and we are the place to go for custom framing in this fine city of ours. Lately, we've been going through a lot, as you can imagine. I'm sure you guys have been too. So we've gotten innovative. We started doing video design with our clients. We've been sort of open, quote unquote, without letting people in the store, doing curbside pickup and all that. And then we would actually create a YouTube video link with some design options for our clients and send it over to them via email. Honestly, this has worked way better than I thought it could. In some ways, I like it a little bit too much. I don't think we're going to stop doing it. Now we can, use this for people who have really busy schedules or are in rural areas, maybe even in completely different cities from Kingston. So that's kind of an exciting new option for us. We're also, it really forced our hand into putting up a good e-commerce. So that's in progress, but we will have a virtual designer on our website coming up shortly, which I'm really excited to announce. As well, we're going to start offering prints on demand. You can buy all kinds of prints from our great artists. We have a huge selection already, but we've never put those online for sale. That's going to change as well. And then in general, yeah, we're just happy to be open again. We've made some improvements around here, so we'd be happy to see everyone's lovely faces if they want to get some custom framing done. We're happy to take in any order.
Thank you, Colin. That is awesome news. Talk about positivity of how you've taken a situation and moved it to a very strategic way of doing business. Congratulations. That's what we love to hear. It's inspiring. Thank you, Colin. So I want to introduce Sarah Gencarelli. Sarah is an awarded
Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's why my name is Gabby. I get into a lot of trouble with that. I would like to introduce Sarah. Sarah is an awarded brand strategist, copywriter, instructor, and entrepreneur. She's a founding partner of Wild Idea Company, a remote brand consultancy and creative studio based in Ottawa. And I must say, Sarah worked with us it was a year ago in March, where she assisted us with our brand and Women Mean Business, which was a tremendous help, and we thank her and her company very much for that. Sarah works closely with founders and marketing teams to clarify and amplify brand stories. She's known for her ability to straddle both strategic and creative thinking, and is a sought-after partner to agencies and startups for this reason. She worked with brands large and small, from national brands like KitchenAid, Creemore, Springs, and the Ritz-Carlton. And she's passionate about supporting the entrepreneurial community. Sarah is an Invest Ottawa small business advisor, and she has led several workshops at Invest Ottawa and also for Women in Business and Algonquin College, just to name a few. So Sarah, the show is yours. Thank you for being with us today. We look forward to hearing your presentation.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Gabby. I don't have to talk about myself now, so that's great. Yeah, I think even how Colin was talking about how he's responded to the changing times and the pandemic is a really great intro to what we're going to be talking about today. Because, you know, this isn't really the time to, there's a lot of natural responses to kind of not know what to do, and maybe you just sit quietly and you're like, we'll wait this out and then business will go back to life as usual. But that's not really the case, because you know, with the examples that Colin shared, is that your customers' behaviors and their expectations and things will change. So when we emerge from this period, it could look very different. So what we're going to talk about today is some strategies that you can pivot, some ways that you can address your customers' needs right now, plan for the future, and we're also going to have some fun looking at a couple examples. So as Gabby mentioned, if you have any questions, just pop them into the chat and we'll try to address them at the end, unless I see it and I can address it while we're talking. Yeah, and feel free to take notes. I can also share this out after. If you go to wildidea.co, no M, /WMB, you can put in your email and I'll be sure to send everything out after. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen here.
Drum roll.
Yeah, drum roll. I like to share a portion of screen here so you can still see my face. Okay, let's do this.
There you are. That's good.
Yeah. There, oops. You're skipping ahead and getting a preview. Okay, so we already talked about that. Yeah, so as I was mentioning here, the context in which our brands exist has changed drastically in the past 2 months. We can't just sit on the sidelines and wait it out, but the question is, what do you do? So some stats here that show just how different the world is today. Every day there's 90 million mentions of coronavirus. The only corona in the world before was something you'd enjoy on the beach. This is a totally new term and it's all over the place. 200% increase in anxious sentiment online. So this is like Twitter, Facebook, anywhere there's social chatter, a 200% increase in anxiety. And that was within the first 30 days. So I'd be curious to see that updated stat. 65%, and this is an important one to remember, 65% of consumers say how a brand responds during this pandemic will influence future purchases. So that's the whole don't wait on the sidelines comment. It's a good time to respond and help and be part of what's happening so that they remember you and they build a relationship with you. It's kind of that shared trauma that, you know, people remember who helped them. On the right here, you can see some stats from Ogilvy. This is showing how the behaviors changed. So time spent as a result of COVID-19. This is how consumers said what they plan to do more and what they plan to do less. So, you know, obviously, much more home-based activities, watching movies, reading, spending time with families, all of those are on the rise. Things that are on the decline, travel, that's a no-brainer, visiting friends, going to the gym, going to church, driving. So if you're in either one of those realms with your business, it's kind of interesting to note how consumers are saying, I'm going to do more of this, I'm going to do less of this. And even if you're not, the example of Kingston Frameworks putting their material online is just showing how they're responding to the increase in the white line. I'm going to be staying home. So this is just a nice piece of context. I always say that it's really important when you're thinking about your brand to think about not just what it looks like, not just your logo. It's not something that's just static and it's not an outfit that you're putting on. Your brand is who you are at heart. So what's more important than anything is how you make people feel. So that's why I like this Maya Angelou quote: people will forget what you said, what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So I think that's really key. Thinking about your brand, how are you making people feel right now will be remembered. I'm going to show a quick video here because it's kind of fun. Let's go here. Sorry guys, tech. Here I am. I'm not seeing the stop screen button.
No, I don't see.
Usually, I can see a stop. Oh, there we go. I was hiding it. Okay. Okay, all good.
We're all learning so much these days.
Yeah. Okay, now you can see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can see this. Can everyone hear it? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we first opened our doors,
Since 1926.
Since 1978.
For 60 years.
For 75 years.
For over 80 years.
In 90 years.
Over 100 years.
Nationwide has been on your side.
Restaurants have always been there for you.
Nissan has been with you through thick and thin.
We will do what we've always done.
Take care of people.
We're people.
People.
People. People.
People.
People and family.
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 Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
Families. Families.
Families.
Even now. Especially now.
Especially now.
Right now.
Now more than ever.
More than ever.
Today, more than ever.
today, more than ever.
In times like this.
At times like these.
During these difficult times.
In these troubled times.
Challenging times.
Trying times.
In these times of uncertainty.
During this time of great uncertainty.
During these uncertain times.
During these uncertain times.
In uncertain times.
In uncertain times. Uncertain times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
This unprecedented moment in our history.
It's time of social distancing.
While things have slowed down. As we turn more inside.
While the doors may be closed.
While the distance between us has gotten bigger.
The more we stay apart,
we still find ways to stay close, even when we're apart.
Even if we can't stand closer than 6 feet.
We can all stay connected to work, school, and most importantly, to each other.
There's still ways to touch each other.
All without leaving the comfort and safety of your home.
Without leaving the safety of your home.
From home.
Home. Your home.
at home.
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 Home. Home. Home. Home.
Home. Home. That's the key.
Buick and GMC are here to help. Con Edison is here to help. Here to help.
Our teams are here.
We are here.
We're here.
We're here.
Here for you.
Here for you.
We're here for you.
We're here for you.
We are here for you.
We're here for you.
We are here for you. We'll be here for you.
Runnings is here for you.
We're still here for you.
We're with you. We're part of your community.
So you can trust us. You can count on us.
And we'll get through this. Together.
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 Together. Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together. Together.
We're together.
Together. And together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
MasterCard.
Okay. What did you guys think?
Wow. There's a lot of commonality in all the ads, eh? like family,
Yeah.
connected, trust, together.
I'm Conan O'Brien, president of The Conan Show.
Sorry, Conan O'Brien took over my screen. Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see just so many patterns. And I don't know about you, but after hearing these messages for so long, there's kind of a fatigue. How many people want to hear the word unprecedented or times of uncertainty anymore? And one of these things, obviously this is big brands responding, but it can be used to show how everyone was responding, is like not really knowing what to do. So just wanting to put their brand out there and saying like, we're in this together, we're all going to figure this out. But we've kind of moved past this. And what the point I want to get here is that for some of these brands, they got in a little bit of hot water because that was all they were doing, is saying, we're in this together. And there was sentiment, kind of backlash from consumers saying, okay, you're just saying that. What can you actually do to help? And I think that's the most important thing to do right now, is think of how you can help. I read a stat that said that consumers right now trust small businesses more than they trust big brands and big corporations. So it actually puts us at an advantage, small business owners, because there's naturally more trust there. And we're not going to be all the talk, but we're going to be walking the walk and helping people because we're like our customers. So just remember, actions speak louder than just the messages. Don't just say we're in this together, show that we're in this together. And how do we respond right now? Well, serving through the lens of the brand. So there's two things to remember that you need to know is you need to know your brand and you need to know your customers. So a nice way of thinking of this is thinking of combining your brand purpose, what you're here to do, with practicality, what your customers need. So before you can act with purpose, you need to know what your purpose is. So you need to clarify your brand messages. And then before you can be practical, you need to know where your customers are and what they need right now. So what can you do right now? Well, it starts by thinking, how can I be useful? And this is true always, even more true now. In general, for all time, really, customers want you to help them avoid something, achieve something, or feel something. And that's just always a general rule for your brand. But now we're thinking within the context of a pandemic. And then knowing your brand is knowing what makes you different, knowing why you're here. So your higher purpose would be what you're here to do, what your core belief is. Say maybe it's, I believe everyone, no matter their background, deserves access to education, as an example. I'm here to make education more accessible for anyone. That could be an example of a purpose, right? So if you have a very distinct understanding of who your brand is and it's unique, then you're actually set up for more success for the future. This chart here shows brands that went through the 2008 recession. Those that had a meaningful difference, meaning that they were distinct, had much more growth over a 12-year period. So just think about what makes you different and lean into that unique value. If you've been running a business up until now, customers already know your value, obviously, because you are sustaining a business. So really lean into that. What's useful right now? These are based on a Twitter survey. So Twitter conducted this survey. 82% of respondents said that brands should be supporting frontline health staff, supporting vulnerable people in the communities, supporting the local community. There's definitely an appetite for how people and companies are helping at a local community level. Supporting your employees, if you have employees, being transparent about that, how you respond to your own team, that is also sharing your message and your values. Companies that are not supporting their teams right now, they're getting bad PR, right? So rather than investing in advertising spend saying we're in this together and then they're laying off their teams or just not supporting them, I understand some companies need to layoffs, but not handling it perhaps the best way. So they're wasting their advertising money because people can see what's actually happening. Providing prompt customer service is very important. So prioritizing that right now, whether it's adding a pop-up to your website or having, if you're already busy, just putting it out there on your Facebook channel saying, you know, we will be available between 4 and 5 on Tuesdays, let's say, for any pertinent needs, showcasing acts of kindness, and then sharing positive stories. So that's what people are wanting right now. So when you're thinking about what I can do, think about those areas and start to brainstorm really within those areas. How can I help? Am I able to share a positive story? Am I able to support someone in the vulnerable community? Can I do something for frontline workers? And you may be in a totally unrelated industry, but you can still do something to help people. That will be remembered whether or not that person is a customer. It's the act of helping and the act of kindness. So a quick recap before we go further. What is a brand? Just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. It's bigger than a logo. It's bigger than your color scheme. It's who you are at heart. There's the phrase that's your brand is who you are, your marketing is how you show it. So think about who your brand is at heart. It's that gut feeling that people have about you. We all know who Disney is. We all know who Coca-Cola is. We all know who Nike is because we have a gut feeling, and that's based on the overall impression. That's not just their logo, it's their behaviors, their actions. It's like a living person almost. So almost imagining your brand as a living person is helpful because then you can have a sense of how your brand will respond in different situations, as extreme as a pandemic. So I like to think of it as having, just as we have a customer avatar, which would have demographics, values, and personalities, also creating for yourself a brand avatar. So that is your beliefs, your higher purpose, your values, and yes, your personality, and your unique value being what makes you different, what makes you unique and unlike any of the competition. So if you can kind of create those two avatars, you can start building a bit of a friendship between your customer and your brand. And another reminder to think of your brand holistically. When you know who your brand is, who's at heart, it's not just about your marketing, it radiates throughout your entire company. So even if your company is 1 person, 3 people, 5 people, it will still influence yes, the design and your expression, but also how you interact with customers and how the service experience is. The marketing will come out of it, even internal communication, who you want to hire, how you speak to your team, what you do for your team, it will all be shaped from the brand heart because you have this idea of who this person is and how they'd interact with everyone at any point. So questions to ask yourself: do you know what your brand heart is? Do you know what your core belief is? Do you know what your higher purpose is? What are your brand values, if you can have a list of 3 to 5? And then what's the lasting impacts you want to make for your customer, for the world? And you can be grandiose here. You can be lofty. Sometimes it seems a bit like, oh, that's too ambitious. But the more pointed you are, and even the more ambitious you can be, the more it will push you in that direction. And even if you never reach this big ending global hunger, let's say, you're still moving into that direction of, even if you're helping your local community with Meals on Wheels and things like that, it's still important to have a big vision because that will guide you in that direction. And then the practicality side, ask yourself, who do you serve? So who are your ideal customers? Think of in usual times, let's say, who were your customers? Who are your customers still? Are there any other stakeholders? So think beyond that. Think of your team members. Think of the communities in which you serve, your networking groups. What do people need right now? Where are they right now? Because that's changed. Obviously, everyone's at home, so maybe the media they consume has changed. Local radio has actually had a boost. People trust it and they're tuning into it more because it provides a sense of comfort and connection. A lot of people are canceling their TV subscription because sports have been canceled, so why pay? They're using more streaming services. Okay, so maybe if I'm thinking that way, then maybe my social networks are more important. And then how are their behaviors changing? And we're going to go into a few examples of that. So a quick example here, we all know who Disney is. And I made this up based on what I know about Disney, but their core belief could be tied to a Walt Disney quote, that that's the real trouble with the world, too many people grow up. So their core belief could be, too many people grow up. Their higher purpose could be to create moments of happiness and inspire childlike wonder, so to awaken the child within. Brand values, we could all probably list these ourselves. Family, happiness, imagination, magic, dreams, inspiration, and customer experience. And then the lasting impact that they want to make. Another Disney quote here, laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, dreams are forever. So inspiring the childlike wonder that unites all of us. So let's say that's Disney's brand heart. And you know, it may not be right on, but that's what a sense that I have of it from being an outsider. So this is how one of the ways that they responded. Their streaming service is one of the only profitable lines of their business right now. Thank goodness they launched it. Disney released Frozen 2 early. So is it purposeful? Does it align with their brand heart? Yes. Is it practical? Absolutely, because you have parents who are home now and who need some more content. Obviously, Disney is Disney. We're not all Disneys, but how can you do something that's aligned with your purpose, but also practical for where people are right now? Another couple examples, Disney manufactured ventilators. And I include this example here of Louis Vuitton producing hand sanitizers. Now, Dyson is all about innovation, so producing ventilators makes sense because they're innovating and producing ventilators. But Louis Vuitton is not about hand sanitizers. They are obviously luxury, world-class, very ritzy, but now they're producing hand sanitizers. But this is an example of how a brand who doesn't really, it's not like, in fact, people are not wanting to hear from luxury brands right now. They think that that's irresponsible and not really fair because people aren't planning on big ticket purchases right now with the economic uncertainty. So how can Louis Vuitton plan for future success is by helping, so producing hand sanitizers. They're not trying to take over the hand sanitizer business, but they're trying to just do their part and help during crisis, and people will remember that. So maybe you're in that kind of a realm, maybe you sell high-end products and to sell them right now feels kind of wrong. Well, think of things that you can do today that will gain future customers. Don't worry about, you don't have to worry about sounding insensitive. So where are we today? No one really knows, but this can kind of give us an idea. We're over the adjusting phase. We're no longer trying to help people just adapt to the new normal. We're living in this new normal. It's been going on for weeks now. So what we need to do is help people adapt to continued life at home. So thinking of where they are mentally and physically. And then we will be moving into the recover. You're seeing some early openers here. So again, the Kingston Frameworks is just a great example of how they're starting to think about things they'll continue in the new normal. So continuing to have these video services available. And now adding prints is just a perfect example of how you can adapt your brand to meet demands of new normal. So an example here for what a clothing retailer might do in this framework is, okay, so you want to kind of brainstorm ways, what are the needs within each stage that we're in? So now we're in peak. So an example of a need is the need to provide maybe moments to break cabin fever. Some strategies for how a clothing retailer could respond is maybe how-to tips, how to declutter, how to style leggings 5 ways because most people are wearing leggings or joggers. And then tactics are, okay, I'm going to share this out in blog posts, Pinterest articles, get the message out there. The strategy is the idea, and the tactics are the how you're going to do it. And then for recover, this could look like this clothing company could allow online orders and add e-commerce options to their websites, or maybe sell on Amazon or Etsy, for example. So starting to think about the new behavior of people are more comfortable to shop online. For a hair salon, right now they could really lean into the idea of boosting positivity. So maybe this is about doing a contest for a perfect post-pandemic pampering, right? So giving people like this uplifting idea of this will be over eventually, and thinking of how good you'll feel when you win this contest. For recovery, they could adapt their experience to online scheduling, touchless payments, maybe it's tap and free hand sanitizer in the salon. Here's an example of some peak needs. I'm not going to read over all of them. They're going to be in the handout. But you can just take a look here. Ongoing, these are things that have been going on for the whole pandemic, working from home with kids. I know that's a need for myself right now. We have a busy 4-year-old. Maybe lost work and wages, need for easy meals. And then what's new right now in the peak could be, how do I make masks? Should I even spend on anything? Coping with the extended lockdown, those kind of things. Like mentally and physically, what are my needs now that we're still in this period of isolation? So we'll talk about a few examples here. So there's a few ways that brands are responding. 4 ways, actually. The first is thinking about how can you help fight coronavirus itself. And not all of us make ventilators. We don't all make products that are disinfectants. But some examples of this could be, GM, Dyson making ventilators, clothing brands making scrubs and masks. JetBlue said they'd fly medical professionals and supplies around the world free of charge. Louis Vuitton, obviously. And then Spin Master, who makes board games, making headbands for face shields. So these are not, it's not like headbands, the board game manufacturer is in a pandemic space. They're not in a medical space, but they're still thinking of ways that they can help resolve or just treat the coronavirus itself. So thinking for yourself, how can you help your team? Are there ways you can help your customers? Are there ways that you can help frontline workers, vulnerable groups, whether it's directly related to your business or others? So just some prompts when you start to brainstorm and write down in your worksheet that you'll get after this. These are those examples here. So maybe what could your version of this be? Okay, if you're not really in that mindset, think about how you can help other businesses and people adapt to their new lifestyle. Headspace is a meditation app. They made free meditation available to all frontline workers for a year. Then there's free Wi-Fi coming from companies. Audible, which is an audiobook company, they're doing free audiobooks for kids, knowing that parents are at home with kids. And then Scholastic offered a free month of homeschool activities and curriculum. So now those prompts for your brand, think, how can I help my team, my customers and workers through the lens of their new lifestyle that they're living? Vulnerable groups, whether it's directly or unrelated. So the third question, first these are the examples here. I know I'm using Scholastic Learn at Home. We actually already finished it, which is nuts to think that we've gone through a month of material. But the third question is, what critical information is needed right now? And this is the one that I say proceed with a bit of caution, because this is when you have examples of McDonald's separating their arches. I don't know if you've seen that, but their golden arches that they had, they separated and then they did a big ad. There's some people who are saying, oh, that's so great. And then others, like an example you'll see on the next slide, saying, hey, you're not following that up with action and you're just talking the talk. Mucinex, which is a cough and cold medication, they created a stay-at-home hero poster series. So think about how you can, what these brands have done, and other brands in those commercials we've seen have done, if they use their big media spends for good, as platforms for good. So that's great. They've thought about the messages that they felt like people needed to hear, this togetherness. What do your customers need to hear? Think about that. And what does the general public need to hear? Is it about social distancing, staying apart? Maybe a more appropriate message right now would be like, it's getting nice out. We all want to go outside, but, let's continue to stay the course, if that's the message that's coming from the government. So examples here, this is on the left here, there's some creative examples here. This is the Mucinex. It's kind of, you have to look twice, but you can see here, we've got this hero, but then you have this character here relaxing. So be a hero, be boring, stay at home. This is coming from that cough and cold manufacturer. So that makes sense. But then McDonald's separates their arches, and then Bernie Sanders says, give your workers paid sick leave. And he retweets that. Look at his audience. And just think about, like, okay, they're not really following up with the actions that say we're in this together. So people can sniff that out and say that's not sincere, and they need sincerity right now. So how can you use your resources to spread good? This is the last question you can ask. So thinking about JetBlue did a New York first responder salute. So this was, they did a tour around New York, yeah. And along the way, they asked people to cheer for frontline workers. Mattel unveiled frontline hero dolls. So they did frontline hero dolls. So this was a $20 doll, 15 goes directly to frontline heroes and their families. Tim Hortons delivered free coffee to frontline workers. Coors Light responded to Grandma Olive's request. I don't know if you saw that viral meme, but think about, how might your brand give back right now? How could you support frontline workers? How can you help vulnerable groups, whether it's directly or indirectly? What can you do to spread good? So these are those examples. So JetBlue's tributes of Fisher-Price's frontline hero dolls, Tim Hortons, and then Coors Light. This lady posted, or I think it was her daughter, posted this online, and Coors responded by sending her a month's worth of beer. So again, Coors is not trying to get more olives to become her customer, but they're helping. So what's appropriate right now? 64% of consumers said brands should continue advertising products as normal. But to go to the other side of the screen here, 7% said that they should continue using their normal tone of voice. So that means the vast majority said, okay, we want to see advertising products as normal, the majority, 65%, but the majority of them say, change your tone, adapt to what's out there. We're not just gonna pretend nothing's happening. 52% said hearing ads gives them a sense of normality, so maybe they want a little bit of normality, but again, thinking about your tone. 77% said they feel more positively about brands making an effort to support society at the moment. So all of those examples I shared are great great things to think about with your own brand is, okay, people are responding to things that to brands helping, and people will remember this for future purchases. So how can I just be a good friend right now as a business? Being clear and sincere in how you say it. It's not the time to be, large paragraphs or multiple, long emails. Just be succinct, be honest, be yourself, be sincere, and people will feel that honesty. Be empathetic. It's not the time to push products. Just sell. It's the time to just acknowledge how people are feeling, and even if you're not pushing products, they will still respond positively to your brand, and they may seek out products as a response to that. So it's just, don't put the sell first, put relationships first. And then being mindful of tone. Is now the time for levity and jokes? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on your audience, but it's kind of a fine line to walk. When this first went out, Swoop is an airline, they put out this ad here. Price is so low, you gotta go. And this is when toilet paper was basically currency. And they got in a lot of hot water over this, especially because they're an airline company and they weren't acknowledging that maybe there was going to be an increased apprehension over travel. They were just trying to capitalize on the toilet paper virability. So don't just pull a Swoop and respond to trends quickly without really thinking about the consequences. You want to raise morale, not eyebrows. So some other things to think about right now is how you can use this crisis as an opportunity to strengthen your brand. So we've talked about and reiterated the importance of helping and being useful, no matter if it's directly for your customer or broader local community. But these are some other tactics you can use to kind of get ahead and reinvent through this crisis. The first is making your customers feel useful. So inviting them into your brainstorm session in a way when you're thinking, how can I respond? Ask your customers, listen to what they're saying, listen to what they're talking about if you have a Facebook group, or if you are even looking up competitors' products on Amazon, or a competitor's social profile. And even if they have a community, just see what people are talking about within your line of business, and then gain insights. And if you do have a mailing list, email them, say like, what would be most helpful right now? If you have that kind of relationship. Turn your employees into inventors. If you have a team, even if it's 1 to 3, if it's just yourself, encourage innovation and reward it. Say every idea is welcome. Create consumers for life. So this is what the Louis Vuitton example is. They have thought beyond their current products and services. They're thinking about just building relationships with people who could then become loyal to the brand. Finding partners in recovery. This is really good advice for small businesses. If there's any other local businesses who have a similar audience, who you can both support, come together and create, maybe it's a contest, or maybe it's doing something nice together for frontline workers, just to increase your audience size and increase your reach, and maybe do more good than you would on your own. If there's any influencers in this space, whether they're local or bigger, it could be a good time to partner up with them. And then using this opportunity to think about your brand. So if you've done some of the exercises and you're like, okay, I kind of know my brand, I kind of don't, is this an opportunity to really get to know your brand and ask yourself what you stand for, so that you can start bringing that to life confidently for what will be the new normal when we get out of this. So just as we close off here, to remember 65%, that's the number of Canadians who indicated that how a brand responds during the pandemic would influence future purchases. So I hope that gives you a little boost to just get out there and be helpful, because people are open to that and listening. Again, thinking about your purpose and your practicality, how you can bring those two together by knowing your brand and knowing your needs of your audience and stakeholders. Be useful, be empathetic, and be creative. Be open to innovation, be open to change, because the world has changed. So the more we resist that, the harder it will be to keep up. Thank you. That's the presentation. I know I went a little bit over, but I hope it was valuable. And I do have, so the freebies will be, you can get a copy of this presentation. I have a brainstorming template you can work through that aligns with this presentation. And I also have thrown in there our brand new brand PDF, which is when we're asking you to really know who your brand is. It's a series of questions and exercises that you can use to really help you focus that.
That's Sarah, that's awesome. Great information for all of us. We really appreciate that. And what always comes out clear is the authenticity and sensitivity to the situation we're all in, but also brainstorming new innovative ideas. So you've given us a lot to think about. So we are very grateful. I think we should go to see if there's any questions in chat before we carry on here.
We have Arthur, interesting that the examples are American or multinational. Yeah, there's also Canadian examples. If you look, these ones are just, I think they were good, clear examples. Obviously, Canada is a totally different environment than the States, but there's still a lot about us that are the same.
There's one here. There's one here from both Sue and myself, our frontline workers. Because we are classified as family-funded care providers, our caregivers are not considered by the Ontario government as essential enough to receive the pandemic pay that identical workers are receiving. Right at home, Kingston and Durham regions are paying that $4 per hour wage enhancement. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Right at Home is one of our supporters as well, so they're fairly new to Kingston. So thank you for that comment. Is there anything else you see there, Sarah, that I'm missing? I don't see anything else here.
No, just some nice feedback here, sparking creativity and inspiring. I hope that's true for everyone. Thank you, Michelle. And then Pat said, even as a travel agent, there are many great ideas. Yeah, that's an interesting industry to be in, Pat, but we'll always need vacation, right? Whether it's traveling Canada, if that will be more in the coming year. I know I plan to travel more within Canada in the coming year, so I don't know if you could survey the rest of your clients and ask them and then provide content tailored to that if that's true for your audience. Delivering comfort band to a seniors resident staff. I didn't think about using that. Comfort band.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure if that's music or a band.
It's probably a headband.
It's a headband. Sorry,
headband.
Catherine here. It's a headband that goes around the back of the head so that their ears are not always, the elastic of the mask is not around their ears.
Oh, very good.
A company I used to design for, a sweater company in Toronto, is using this time to make masks, gowns for the government and for people like us. But they've also got these really neat comfort bands that relieve the pressure. So I, asked if I could supply those for the staff over at one of the residences where my mother is living, and they were really happy about that. And of course, bringing chocolate with it from Cocoa Bistro for everybody. It had to be individual boxes, rather than things they share. So you have to be careful, how you do it. But I never thought of mentioning that
it's a great
through
idea.
my company Facebook page. So maybe I will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think everything all we do is so important right now to let people know.
And the stats show people want to hear that, right? People want uplifting stories right now. And if it's coming from you and it's coming from your brand, they still want to hear it.
Absolutely. Thanks. Anyone else have any comments?
Cheryl mentioned offering a weekly 30-minute comm session via Facebook Live. That's awesome. That's great. I know I've been doing my fair share of free meditations and workouts. And once this is over, I'm probably going to be a subscriber. Yeah. Annette, that's my mother-in-law. Hi, Annette. We did a giveaway for frontline workers that Sarah created for us, and it was so well received. It was well received. It helped frontline workers, but it also got engagement up on the Facebook page, so that was good too. And think about, for everyone else, is there something that you could do partnering with a like-minded business, some kind of a contest or a giveaway, because that's a great way to boost reach and boost engagement and increase your follower count too.
Fabulous. So Sarah, thank you again. Did you want to just mention that email address of where to get there, what you're going to be sending through, just so they have it written down properly?
Yep. So it's wildidea.co. So not .com and not .ca, .co /WMB.
Thank you for offering all that. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I'm going to leave that page up for today. So I'd ask you to put in your email today if you want it, because I'm going to send that material end of day today. So you'll have it, if not end of day, but like first thing tomorrow morning. I want to give everyone time to get their emails in there.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. It's great to see you again. And I think Josie has some announcements. Josie?
Yeah, but you know what, Sarah, thank you very, very much. That was an awesome presentation.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You can see everybody's comments coming through, and You'll probably be getting a lot of requests for that information. So I just want to let everybody know, please save the date. Next Tuesday is May 26th, and the same time, 10:30, we have a very special presentation, again with a wonderful presenter. It's called Strategies to Pivot Sales During Turbulent Times with Claudia Harvey. And Claudia Harvey, I have to tell you a little bit about her. She's a global entrepreneur, an investor, a speaker, an influencer, a best-selling author, and a philanthropist, a proud mother of 3. Plus, she was on Dragon's Den, and it was Kevin O'Leary who decided to, yes, I am going to invest money with you. And she started Dig It Apparel, very successful, to become a global company. So she is a dynamo to meet. We were very lucky that she came to speak for us just, 2 years ago for our network, as well as the military here at Kingston CFB. So a little bit of what she's going to talk about is how her past experiences, including surpassing a recession 10 years ago, she has experience in all of this, equipped her to adapt and change and pivot very quickly. So good person to listen to. And please do sign up. It's all up on our website as well as Eventbrite. So my dear, I think, Gabby, that's all I have.
Yes, and I just wanted to add, with Claudia Harvey's presentation, her company, you'll see something when you register with Eventbrite, your link will automatically come through. So we're on their system, and you might see BG Marketing Authority. So don't be thrown off. Just register as you normally would, and you'll automatically be informed, I think, the day before, and then they have the whole system in place. So you will not be getting a separate email from myself on Monday. Everything is done through their platform. This is an FYI, so that you know that. But I wanted to end this wonderful session. I always like to find something that, so perseverance produces trust. Challenges produces perseverance. Just tackle today, one step at a time. Surround yourself with encouragement and encouragers. Know when to take a break, especially mentally and physically. Give yourself space, it's okay. And refuse to quit. Stay the course and let us go on. And as I always like to say, stay encouraged. So we thank everyone for joining us today, and we thank Colin again for being our sponsor and our supporter, and Sarah, you're also our sponsor and supporter in many, many ways. We are so grateful to you, and we are grateful for all of you being online with us. This is our 9th week, and we have next week, and we'll keep on moving forward through this time. And it's always look for that silver lining, because there's a lot of positivity as well. And we're a happy group of ladies when we all get together. Let's keep that up. So all the best. Have a great week, and thank you again.
Thank you. Take care,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.